If you are running Facebook ads to sell online courses and high ticket programs, this is going to be the best Facebook ad training you can find on YouTube right now. Because a lot of people are still running ads like it's 2020 and they're using outdated funnels and old strategies and they're wondering why their ads aren't working. I know this because I have generated over $10 million in online course sales using Facebook ads. I've had over 100 clients and I have personally launched thousands of ad campaigns inside of the ads manager. And the thing is, Facebook ads have changed a lot in the last couple of years. There is a new way to run ad campaigns, but the good news is it is simpler, it scales easier, and it takes a lot less time actually inside the ads manager. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how you can set up your Facebook ads to sell online courses and high ticket program. What we're going to be covering is we're going to be talking about the big shifts and mistakes that companies are making right now because they haven't updated their ad strategy. We're going to be talking about how to focus your resources the right way when you're running Facebook ads. We're going to talk about the new structure for winning campaigns, targeting the right people on Facebook, how to create winning Facebook ads and exactly what you should be making, testing ads the right way, optimizing and scaling your campaigns, measuring your results so you know how much money you're making, and how to roll all of this out inside your ad campaign if you're not doing this right now and you want to be doing this. So by the end of this video, you're going to have the full download. I also just made it so that you can skip through down on the time bar if you want to go check out certain parts of this video. If you want to bookmark this and come back to this later, I've got all of it laid out for you. And then I've also got a good little bonus download that I put down in the description where you can get a little bit more detailed resources on all of this. So if you're just getting started with Facebook ads and you want to know exactly what you need to be doing, go ahead and grab that download and you can follow along everything that I'm showing you in this video. With that, let's get into it. So there have been some big shifts in just the last couple of years with Facebook. It always feels like with a lot of these things kind of roll out slowly until they happen all at once. And I was doing some consulting with a couple of companies the other day that still are using a lot of the older strategies that are making it harder for Facebook to spend for them, and they're having a hard time scaling. And so a lot of what I'm covering in this video is the same kind of stuff I was covering on these consulting calls, because these are a lot of the things that people are doing that aren't working for us anymore. A big one is doing like micro-targeting strategies. So it was very common not that long ago where if you wanted to test a campaign, you would test 50 different audiences. And you would have a bunch of ad sets with individual interests in there, and you'd be trying to figure out which interests are going to convert for you and which ones aren't. We used to also have very complicated testing strategies. So launching hundreds of ad sets where we're trying to figure out exactly what's the best headline, what's the best hook for this ad, what's the best creative, what's the best video versus image, and we'd be testing tons and tons of variables all across different ad sets, which would create these campaigns where we would have 100 or more ad sets trying to test a bunch of different variables. Another thing that we used to do was we used to have a lot of middle of funnel and bottom of funnel campaigns because we had really good retargeting with the Facebook pixel. But now that that's gone, we're not doing this hyper segmented retargeting anymore. Now, when I look at most of our accounts, the audiences are really big. What I find, especially with info, is like we're not on broad targeting. We're not doing no targeting at all. I'm going to show you exactly what we're doing here in a little bit, but we've got really, really big audiences. For creatives, we're really trying to get a lot of quantity out there. So we're really trying to test a lot of ads because this new strategy that we have, we don't have a lot of wasted ad spend with bad ads. And so we're able to test a lot of ideas and see which ones work best for the algorithm. And our account structures are getting really simple. Like we've got maybe a couple of cold traffic campaigns, we've got one retargeting campaign, and that's really about it. So when we're talking about big picture, what do you want to be focusing on as you're going forward? As it's always been with Facebook, the big thing that you want to do is optimize for exactly what you want. So for info and high ticket, there's only a couple of funnels we're running. The biggest one are VSL sales call funnels. So we're actually trying to get qualified calls with the sales team so they can close over the phone. Webinars are not working nearly as well as they used to for most markets, but that's not to say that they're not working. Especially if you're outside of the US, webinars can still work really well. Really depends on the market is what we've seen. A lot of people are also running low ticket offers. No matter what funnel you're running, the most important thing is to optimize for exactly what you want from Facebook. So in most cases, this is probably going to be sales. The exceptions that I usually see is when we're running sales call funnels, oftentimes we don't get enough sales data on a day-to-day basis to actually be able to optimize for sales. And so what we will often optimize for is good quality sales calls. That means we've got some kind of application or filtering process where we're only sending back good calls to the Facebook pixel. So Facebook knows what's a good qualified call. But again, when you're going in and you're actually setting up these campaigns, you want to optimize for exactly what you want from Facebook because that's what you're going to get. That means you don't need to be optimizing for clicks. You don't need to be optimizing for video views. You don't need to be seasoning the pixel. Just go out there and optimize for what you want. For you, especially if you are like the business owner or the big creative person that is managing this stuff, you need to have a really clear messaging strategy. So you need to be really focused on like what is your broader marketing and messaging strategy and how are you communicating your brand across everything that you're doing? Because that's going to be a really important part of this journey that people are going on because they're going to find you online and they're going to go check you out on social media. They're going to look at reviews. And so that's a really important thing for you to be paying attention to here is like, what is your overall messaging strategy? And how is that being communicated? Because ads are oftentimes a really great first touch point. But in this day and age, people are going to go do research on you, right? Like they know they have options. They've seen a lot of these ads before. And so really being clear about like what your overall marketing strategy is going to be super important. And then, yeah, the next thing here is like we really want to focus on creative and funnel optimization as we go forward. And we're going to talk about all this stuff in detail in this video. But if you're like the person who is in charge of rolling this stuff out, the important thing is to make sure that like you've got this stuff in mind as you go forward. This is where you're allocating your time and your resources. So on to how we're structuring these winning campaigns. This is a big change from where we were at 4 or 5 years ago. It used to be a lot of ABO targeting. It used to be a lot of small interest. It used to be a ton of ad sets. Now we found our campaigns are way more simplified. Always just want to start with one campaign per funnel. So that means if you've got a sales call funnel or a webinar, you are just running one campaign with all of your cold traffic to that funnel. And we want to optimize for trying to keep these accounts as simple as possible. So if you have a different business objective coming out for your company, like let's say you've got a new funnel coming out, or you're doing a big Black Friday campaign or something like that. That might be its own campaign, but we really want to try to consolidate as much data as we can into one campaign. These are CBO campaigns, so we're letting Facebook decide how to distribute the budget across these campaigns, and that's going to come in really important when we get into how we're testing new ads. We've got big, broad audiences. So again, we're not doing these like micro targeting campaigns where we used to have 50 ad sets targeting 50 different interests to find out if Tony Robbins converts better than Robert Kiyosaki. Like we're just throwing all of that stuff in there and letting Facebook go out and figure out how to attract the best people for this funnel. More often than not, we are using dynamic creative, or depending on what account we're in, maybe it's that new flexible ad creative. I found in like our old accounts, we still do have the dynamic option, and the new ones we've got flexible. And then when we set those up, we're using this 3x2x2 ad option, which I'm going to show you what that is. But this is what that structure looks like. So if you check out this campaign, like this is an account that we've been running for a really long time. We spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in this account. And you can see the way that we have this set up, we have a couple of different cold traffic campaigns. So we've got one campaign for one funnel. And so this is a newer funnel that we're testing. So we've just got all of our data going through this one campaign. And then we've got 3 campaigns set up here for this other funnel. This is our longest running funnel. This is our main funnel. This is our best VSL. This is where we drive the vast majority of our traffic. We started out with one campaign, but what we found over time was we've actually got 3 different avatars that we drive to this funnel. And for us to be able to better control the messaging, but more importantly, to be able to better control the budget for like what type of person we're trying to spend money to attract, what we ended up doing is we broke this one campaign out into 3 campaigns that's broken down by avatar. And so that's one really important thing to mention here is like everything that I'm telling you is what we have found is like a good best practice to get started with. And this is what we're doing with the accounts that we're in to set this up. These are like the principles that we're following. But you always need to test this stuff up and test this stuff out and find out what works best for you. And so you don't ever want to just follow anything that you find on the internet about this kind of stuff blindly, but you really want to test it out and find out what's going to work for you. And again, I'm going to show you exactly how I would roll all this stuff out at the end of this video, so stick around for that. So now let's talk about how to target the right people. So one thing that I've seen is we're using really broad targeting. And now when I say broad targeting, I am not talking about just like open targeting for anybody. I see e-com videos all the time that are talking about like, we're just doing open targeting. We let Facebook decide all of it. For all of our accounts where we're selling like info and high ticket offers, I don't find that that kind of broad targeting works because we usually do have a specific person that we're going after. We're not selling like mushroom coffee or skin cream. And so we do want to guide Facebook, but we want to give it really open targeting. And so hard rules are always a good idea. Like if you know exactly what gender or what age band or a specific country, you absolutely want to be using that. That's like the just basic framework to guide Facebook in the right direction. Then what I find works really good is big stacks of interest. So again, like if you're going into the business world, we're no longer testing to see if Tony Robbins converts better than Robert Kiyosaki. Like we're just throwing all of those interests into one ad set and seeing if this general business audience is going to work. Because once we give Facebook these couple of interests that are pushing in the right direction, it's already going out there and finding more people like that. So we really just want to guide Facebook in the right direction. The other thing we're seeing working really well is like stacking two different interests. So let's say like your campaign is targeting real estate agents because you've got like some kind of real estate offer. So what we've seen work really well is like one interest group will have all the real estate related interests. And then we will narrow that down and we will stack a bunch of business related interests. So now we know we've got like real estate people who are interested in business. And then another thing we've worked even better with that is when we have enough data, we will layer on top like a 3% lookalike audience. So what we end up here is we've got a really big lookalike audience with two really big interests, but we're giving Facebook a lot of really good direction to go in and start to find the right people for us. And so when we do that, when we find something that's working, all of our ad sets have the exact same targeting on them. And so when we find something that works, usually in like one cold traffic campaign, that's CBO, all of our ad sets have the exact same targeting in them. They're just this one really big audience that we know works. And the thing that we really want to focus on is getting really good, clean data into that pixel. Because if you give Facebook really bad data, you're going to get really bad results back out. It's like garbage in, garbage out. And so if you're running a VSL sales call funnel, you want to make sure that the only data you're sending back to the pixel is good calls. Like anyone who has a bad application or has a low chance of converting, you can filter them out by sending them to a different thank you page or not letting them book a call right away. And you only send the best qualified people to your calendar, and then you're optimizing for calls. Now, what you're telling Facebook is, here's what a really good call looks like. Go get me more of these. And so we've got this really big audience, but we're trying to send Facebook a lot of data, letting them know what's a good lead for us or what's a good customer for us. And that's what's going to help us target the right people. And then the other thing that we're doing, because we've got these big, broad audiences, is we're using our messaging to call out to our audience. So when I look at our ads, almost all of our ads are calling out to our audience in that first sentence. Some of them are being super direct. It just says like, looking for this type of people, or attention, this type of person. Some of them are a little more subtle, and like we start a storyline talking about an industry or a market. And so that's what's going to call it to people who are already in that industry or that market. But we're really making sure above that like little see more button, we're calling out to the person that we want to attract with our ads. And that's the new way that we're doing targeting. Now, because we're not doing micro targeting anymore, we've got these really broad audiences. The biggest thing that we want to focus on is creative. And so here's how we're creating high performing ads. We really want to think about getting a lot of quantity of ads inside the ads manager. We want to have good ads, of course, if we want them to be good quality. But from what I've seen, like having really high produced ads, it does not mean it's going to convert better than something else. A lot of our best ads are like super simple UGC. We've even started to see like a lot of like 15-second little like TikTok-y reel style videos are working well. We've still got images working really well. And I'm checking like just regular images that you would shoot with your iPhone. And so don't think about so much about getting super polished stuff out there. Of course, that's good and you should absolutely test it. But we also want to just get a lot of quantity of ads in. And you're going to see how when we set these up, Facebook's going to be able to optimize for the ads that are working best. And so our job as the advertisers is to really just make sure that we're getting a lot of quantity of ads in there. The messaging is where we really want to focus on matching the awareness level of the customers that we're trying to target. And so for cold traffic, for people who are problem aware, maybe solution aware, we've got different messaging that's speaking to those people. And then as people get further on in the customer journey, they maybe know a little bit more about us, our brand, and they're starting to get into our retargeting campaigns. This is where we're going to start making direct offers, talking about our product, especially in retargeting campaigns. What I absolutely love doing is like tons of testimonials, tons of client success stories, tons of case studies, talking about all the different unique parts about our program. If we have a community, showing off our community, because that works great in ads. But think about the journey that someone's going to go on from when they first discover that they have this problem that you solve to before they even know about your brand or your product. And then what are they going to find out as they learn about your brand, about the product, about the solutions that are out there on the market, and really stage a lot of your copy and your ads against that journey. For the actual types of ads, like try everything. When it comes to videos, we're talking like we've got talking head ads, we've got reels and TikTok style videos. So like stuff that we see working out there, we start running those as ads, like founder stories, student stories. If there's like little trends going on online and you can make little trendy videos that are like 10, 15-second clips, those work great. You can try really high production stuff. So when I think about like Sabri Subi or Russell Brunson, they usually got really high production stuff, but also try like really low production stuff. I mean, like stuff that we have just filmed holding up with an iPhone, like UGC style videos also work super well. And a lot of times we've seen that those will outperform high production stuff. So I think it's really important again to just focus on like come up with a lot of ideas and just make sure that you have a system to consistently get new creatives in your account on a regular basis. When we're talking about images like lifestyle action shots, so like especially if you're meeting up with your community or some of your customers or clients in person, like take lots of photos of that. Memes, testimonials, social posts. So like you see this all the time on Instagram. People just like it looks like a Twitter post, but it's on their Instagram page. Those work well. Pets, I mean, like some of our best ads have just been like our expert with their dog, and like that works really well. And then even try like Canva, more like corporate style looking stuff. So like all text, it's just super graphic designy. We try all of this stuff because we've seen all of it work. The big thing that we found that's a big key is doing 3 variations for each thing. So if we're doing a video, we will do the exact same video, but we will always test 3 hooks. So maybe that's the exact same video, but we have 3 different visual hooks at the very beginning. That means like the first 3 seconds are different. Or maybe we've got the exact same video, but the first 3 seconds are like a different audio or a different hook that we're leading into that video. And with images, so we'll always do like 3 different versions. So maybe we've got like the exact same text, but we've got like 3 different designs, or we've got 3 different images that are kind of conveying the same thing, but in different way. And that way, when we go to set up our ads using this like 3-2-2 strategy, we've always got 3 creatives that are along the similar angle, along the similar idea, but we're feeding the algorithm enough stuff to play with and figure out what's really going to convert. And that's going to be able to be what ramps up with spend. Now, once you've got all these creatives, how you set this up is what makes it so that you don't have a lot of wasted spend on bad ads. Like back in the day when we were doing ABO, we used to have to set all this stuff up in new ad sets. You had to give it a minimum budget per day. And then what you'd end up doing is you'd spend a lot of money on creatives that maybe didn't work that good. And so now that we're running CBO campaigns, we can load all this stuff up and the algorithm's going to decide if that ad is engaging enough to even get enough spent. And so inside the CBO campaign, what we're doing usually on a weekly basis is going in there and loading up new ad sets with new creatives inside of them. And so you can see like in this example, this campaign, it's all the same targeting. The only thing that's different here at the end is we've got a new creative idea or angle going into the account. And so for each one of these ad sets, we're using dynamic ads, and each ad has 3 creatives. So those 3 variations that I told you about. We've got 2 copies. It's usually the exact same copy, but the thing that we're testing is like a different hook, or we're positioning the offer a little bit differently. And then 2 different headlines. So that's 3 creatives, 2 copies, and 2 headlines. We will set all these up in the campaign, and then usually what we'll do is we will put a minimum ad spend budget for 7 days. So what that actually looks like is like when you're actually going into the account to set up new ads, usually what you're doing is you're going in, you're taking off the old minimum ad spend from the new ads from last week because those already got their 7 days of minimum spend. We want to we found that helps kind of push things into the campaign and get a little bit of spend going, but we don't put a very big minimum budget at all because we don't want to spend much if it's not a good creative. And then when we go back to the account, we take off that minimum ad spend after 7 days, and then we launch new ad sets and we give those the minimum ad spend. And so what this ends up doing is you don't really have to focus on going out and finding a bunch of new audiences once you have them working. You don't really have to focus on having any complex setups. All you're doing is copying ad sets, changing out the creative part, and then launching new ad sets with new creatives. And what you get to focus on is just having really good creatives in the account and then optimizing everything that happens outside of the ad platform. Bad ads just get a little bit of ad spend to see if they work or not. And then we turn them off. And all we focus on is every week getting new creatives inside that account. So at this part of the process, like you're really just focused on having good creatives. You're just launching them in the same CBO campaign, and you're letting Facebook decide if like this is a good engaging ad or not. So from there, optimizing and scaling these campaigns become quite simple because when you go in, if that ad set is not within CPA, you can just turn it off. If a campaign is within CPA and it's doing well, you can just turn up the budget on the CBO campaign. You don't have to go in and decide what individual ad set it's going to be. And then you can really focus on all the important stuff that's really going to help grow the business outside of the ad platform, which is coming up with better ads, optimizing your landing page, making a better VSL. Or if you're running a webinar, making a better webinar, having your email follow-up improved, making sure you're sending out really good emails, improving your sales process, improving your client success so that your students get better results, your customer gets better results. That means you get more testimonials, more case studies, more people are talking about you online, making sure you have really good online reviews and a good online reputation. This is huge. I cannot tell you how many people that I've met who start to see a decrease in their sales. And when they start digging around, it's because you can Google them and someone posts like a bad review or a bad video about them online. And that will really impact your sales a lot because people are smart these days. Like they go out online, they see your ads, they want to know more about your company, they start going to do some research. And so having a really good online reputation and good online reviews on third-party sites like Trustpilot really do make a big difference. And then also focusing on your organic presence. Again, if people are going to be going out and looking for you, if they see your ads and then they go online and they can't find anything about you, right? You've got an Instagram page with 0 posts, you're not on YouTube, you're not on TikTok, like they can find nothing about you. Of course, you look like a scammier company, right? And so really what you can do is focus on making sure that you at least have a good organic presence. A lot of times when I think about organic presence for our clients, it's not necessarily that we think organic is going to be the primary revenue generator for us. Like ads is usually that channel, but we want to make sure that we're using these organic channels to build up that social proof and to make us look reputable so that when people go out and look for us online, they can have a really good image of who we are. They can learn more about us. They can hear about success stories and they can feel more confident getting on the phone with us and joining our programs. All of that kind of stuff is really going to help move the needle with your ad campaigns. So many people think in order to like get better ad conversions, they need to like come up with some crazy ad or there's some like tactical strategy inside the account. Oftentimes it's what's happening outside of the ad platform, like what's happening in your funnel, what's happening with your customers, what's happening online, what's happening in the industry. That stuff will make a huge impact on your conversions. So be sure that you're focusing on that kind of stuff. And one thing that I really like about this new ad strategy we have that's a lot more simplified is we can spend more time focusing on these important things that matter. Now, one thing that is super important anytime you start spending any significant amount of money on ads is you're gonna have to have some kind of third-party tracking in order to understand how your sales are working. I talk to people all the time who are like, my Facebook ad data is not lining up with my sales data, and this platform is claiming these sales. And, especially if they're running Facebook and Google, they're like, Facebook's claiming the sales, Google's claiming the sales, all of these people, I don't know what's going on. The big thing you have to understand is like the Facebook pixel is great for helping Facebook optimize your campaigns. Very important. You're going to want to have that set up and you're going to want to make sure you've got clean data there. If you're running Google ads, same thing, right? Like Google conversions helps Google understand if you're getting the results that you're looking for on that ad platform. They don't talk to each other. They're not going to line up. And so that's why it's really important to have some kind of third-party tracking system, Hyros, Segmetrics, something like this that's going to help complete that picture and give you a better idea of how your ads and your organic and your email and all these different touch points are really creating sales for you. Now, none of this is perfect, like I think if your goal is to try to make sure that your Facebook ads look perfect inside the ads manager and your Hyros data looks perfect, like you're wasting a lot of energy. Of course, you want to make sure you have like good, clean data going to these pixels and these different platforms. But I have found that nothing is perfect. After all of these years, I constantly find myself in spreadsheets, making tables, doing pivot tables, because a lot of times, like to get a really good, clear picture of what's going on, you've just got to go to the source. And so I've got another video that I'll throw, I think up in this corner, and where I talk about like how we automate our ad tracking and the dashboards that we use. And like one of the best things you can do is find a way to get the real data from the source of that metric. So if you want to know how much money you spent, of course you want to ask Facebook ads, how much money did you spend? Because that's a really good source for that data. If you want to know how many people clicked on your ads, Facebook ads is going to be great at telling you that. But if you want to know how many people hit your landing page, like your funnel analytics are going to be better than Facebook ads. If you want to know how many calls you got booked, your call tracking platform is going to be better than Facebook ads. And so oftentimes what you want to do is find a way to bring all these together and get the data from the source that actually is the most accurate. And that's how you can create a really clear picture. So that's why we always suggest everybody have some kind of third-party tracking that they're using for this stuff. And then I love having backups. Like for all of our campaigns, we've got Zaps where we're dropping like calls booked with UTM codes because you can't go wrong when you just have like hard UTM codes in a spreadsheet and you need to pull a pivot table or something. So I think that that's really important to understand is that tracking is super important. And you're going to need to make sure that you're investing in having this set up well, but you don't want to just rely on Facebook to tell you what's going on. Like you need some kind of third-party tracking. And so that's it. That's the whole picture of how we're doing these new campaigns. Now, if you have your account set up the old way, right? If you're still using a bunch of different campaigns with a bunch of different interest targeting, and that's how you have things set up, I wouldn't just go turn off all your campaigns, tear everything down, launch this, and hope that it works. Because again, like I said, every ad account is different. Every company is different. And depending on what kind of data you've got on the pixel, it's going to change the way this impacts you. So here's what I would do to start rolling this out is I would just launch 1 or 2 CBO campaigns. If you're not doing any retargeting, I would probably just launch 1 cold, 1 warm. If you want to just start small, just launch 1 cold traffic campaign. Take your best audience, put it in there, and then grab the post IDs from like 3 to 5 of your best ads and stick that in there. So you've got a CBO with your best audience and your best ads. And then what you can do is let that run for a few days, make sure it's getting some data, and then you can do like your first rollout of some creatives. So you can copy that ad set, you can use this 322 and have a couple of different creative ideas added to that account, to that campaign. So what you've got is like, 1 campaign, now it's got 4 ad sets. And so you've got all your winners there, and then you've got 3 new ones, and each ad set, you have a different creative idea or a different angle that has that 322 variation in there. And then again, let that run for a week and see how that compares to your other campaigns. Because again, we do see that a lot of this stuff builds momentum, especially once you start to get more data into a campaign. It starts to get better at optimizing and going out and finding more people that are converting like we want them to. And so you can just gradually move spend into this new structure and slowly take it out of your old campaigns until that CBO is doing best for you. And then again, hopefully what you end up with is a really simplified campaign structure that is just 1 CBO campaign for cold, 1 for warm, where you're doing all your retargeting and moving people through the funnel. This really reduces a lot of the complexity and it gives you a very clear focus on what you should be doing going forward. And so that is it. Hopefully, if you've been thinking of Facebook ads in a more complicated way, this has really simplified things and shown you like you can have a really simple, clear, structured way to just finding new creatives, getting them out there, and letting the algorithm tell you if these are going to be good enough ads or not. Simplify things down so that inside the ads manager, you're really just focused on creatives, and then you have time to focus on all the other super important things that are going to make this work. Having a better funnel, having a better sales process, having better client success, having a better reputation online, because that's the kind of stuff that's really going to help you win in the long run. Now, remember, just below this video, I've got that little extra download that's going to give you everything that we talked about in this video and a couple of other bonus goodies. So that's going to help you start rolling out this kind of strategy inside your account. And if you want to see the best funnel that we've been using to sell online courses and high ticket offers, what I would definitely suggest is check out, I think, this video probably right here, because this video is going to break down the entire funnel that we've been using that we've seen the most success with over the last year. And that's going to walk you through step by step how you can roll that out for yourself. So check out this video and I'll see you over there.